Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Thira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 9, text number 15. Chapter is entitled Brahma's Prayers for Creative Energy. Yasya avatara guna karma vidambanani namani yesu vigame vivashagrananti tenaika janma shamalam sahasaiva hitva samyantyapavritamritam tamajam prapadye samyantyapavritamritam tamajam prapadye. Yasya, whose avatara, incarnations, guna, transcendental qualities, karma, activities, vidambanani, all mysterious, namani, transcendental names, ye, those, asuvigame, while quitting this life, vivasha, automatically, grunanti, invoke, te, they, anaika, many, janma, births, shamalam, accumulated sins, sahasa, immediately, eva, certainly, hitva, giving up, samyanti, obtain, apavrata, open, amritam, immortality, tam, him, ajam, the unborn, prapadye, I take shelter. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Let me take shelter of the lotus feet of Him whose incarnations, qualities and activities are mysterious imitations of worldly affairs. One who invokes His transcendental names, even unconsciously, at the time he quits his life, is certainly washed immediately of the sins of many, many births and attains Him without fail. Purport. The activities of the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are a kind of imitation of the activities going on in the material world. He is just like an actor on a stage. An actor imitates the activities of a king on stage, although actually he is not the king. Similarly, when the Lord incarnates, He imitates parts with which He has nothing to do. In Bhagavad Gita 4.14, it is said that the Lord has nothing to do with the activities in which He is supposedly engaged. Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spruha. The Lord is omnipotent. Simply by His will, He can perform anything and everything. When the Lord appeared as Lord Krishna, He played the part of the son of Yashoda and Nanda, and He lifted the Govardhan hill. Although lifting a hill is not His concern, He can lift millions of Govardhan hills by His simple desire. He does not need to lift it with His hand, but He imitates the ordinary living entity by this lifting. And at the same time, He exhibits His supernatural power. Thus His name is chanted as the lifter of Govardhan hill, or Sri Govardhanadhari. Therefore, His acts in His incarnations and His partiality to the devotees are all imitations only, just like the stage makeup of an expert dramatical player. His acts in that capacity, however, are all omnipotent, and the remembrance of such activities of the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is as powerful as the Lord Himself. Ajamil remembered the holy name of the Lord Narayan by merely calling the name of his son Narayan, and that gave him a complete opportunity to achieve the highest perfection of life. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nidinamine Namaste Saraswate Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we'll continue our discussion on the third canto, Brahma's prayers to Lord Vishnu before he begins this major task of creating the universe. So he has got all the elements and he did tapasya for a long time and he got the darshan of Lord Garbhodakshai Vishnu and is offering these prayers. So in this prayer he is saying how the Lord's activities and incarnations are all mysterious to understand for ordinary people. They are vidambanam, bewildering for ordinary conditioned living entities. And simply by invoking his holy names at the time of death, one can attain to his abode, go back to Godhead. This is Brahma's verdict, which is confirmed by so many other pastimes. Krishna himself in the Gita confirms this. So Vidambanam, this phrase also appears several times in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Kunti Maharani talks about this. Bhishma Dev talks about this. Na hyasya garhijid rajan puman veda vidisthitam yad vijitnyasaya yukta muhyanti kavayopihi. Bhishma Dev, when he is lying on his deathbed, on the bed of arrows, he is telling the Pandavas, Yudhishthir, that this person who is standing among us, pointing to Krishna, he says, Na hyasya garhijid rajan puman veda viditsitam. No one can understand him. Yad vijitnyasaya yukta muhyanti kavayopihi. Kavayopihi, even greatly learned scholars and pandits, they also are muhyanti. They also get bewildered, observing the activities of Krishna. Then what to speak of ordinary people like you and me, he's saying. Earlier, before this verse, Bhishma had said that, O Yudhishthir, it is impossible to understand why you all went through such a struggle. Although you are Dharma Parayan, Achyuta Parayan, dedicated your life for the service of Krishna, still, all of you had to undergo so many reversals in life. But we can never understand what was the plan of Krishna by making you go through all this. It is Vidambanam. Similarly, Kunti Devi also. In the next verse, Bhishma Dev says, Tasmadidam Daivatantram. Therefore, you should understand that this is all Daivatantram. This is all his inconceivable plan. Whatever happens in our life, some things we may be able to understand, but many things we may not be able to understand. But at least you should have faith, Bhishma says, that it's all happening under the supervision and plan of Krishna. That much faith he should keep, he says. Similarly, Kunti Devi says, Naveda kaschit bhagavam shigirshitam taveha manasya nranam vidambanam. Nayasya kaschit daitosya karchit dveshyascha yasmin vishamam atir nranam. Again, the word vidambanam comes. Naveda kaschit. No one can understand your activities. Kunti Devi is telling Krishna. So that's how Krishna's activities are. Why does Krishna act like this? Prabhupada explains in the purport. Namam karmani limpanti. Krishna says in the Gita. I am not entangled by karma like ordinary conditioned people get entangled. We have to think what is right, what is wrong, what is moral, what is immoral. Because if we act immorally, if we don't act right, then we get entangled. But Krishna is not entangled because he is above the law of karma. He is the creator of the law of karma. So he doesn't have to worry about what is right, what is wrong. In fact, whatever he does, that becomes right. Of course, Krishna doesn't unnecessarily violate any principle just because he is above the right and wrong. As long as it is not required, Krishna doesn't violate any principle. But occasionally we may find him violating certain moral principle, but that's mainly because he wants to reciprocate with his devotees. So he danced in the Rasa Leela, he spoke certain lies, he violated certain principles in the battle of Kurukshetra, but it's all because there is some reciprocation with a devotee involved. So here in this verse, Brahmaji is saying, if someone remembers at the time of death and chants his holy name, then he attains your abode. So even in the Gita, you find Krishna talking about the time of death. Our S.B. Keshav Maharaj calls it the death paradox. There are so many paradoxes in life. Paradox means a complete statement that seems self-contradictory. But actually, when you think about it, it is actually a truth. But in the first instant, when you hear it, it appears self-contradictory. So death is a paradox. Why it is called a paradox? Because no one likes to talk about it. It's a highly painful thing. So therefore we want to avoid it. So Krishna in the Gita says, Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. Arjuna is asking several questions about Adi Bhuta, Adi Daiva, Prakriti, Purusha. And Krishna answers all those questions in one line. But one point he takes out from Arjuna's question. Prayana kale chakatham neyosi niyatatmabhi. What is the journey? What state a soul should think? What should be his consciousness during prayana kal? Prayana kal means the time of journey of the soul after death. What should be his state of consciousness? And then Krishna spends the whole chapter of chapter 8, in discussing this moment of death. He says, whatever state of being one remembers at the time of death, that state he will attain after death. And if someone happens to remember me at the time of death, then he will come to me. And then he discusses how yogis, Ashtanga yogis, how they focus their mind on Krishna. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anoraniyam Samanusmaredya Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Aditya Varnam Tamasapparastad. Om Ityekaksharam Brahma. How a yogi focuses his mind on the syllable Om. Ekaksharam, one syllable, single syllable sound called Om. Vyaharan Mamanusmaran, thinking that the yogi gives up his body and attains higher destination. So first he discusses about the yogi's departure, and then he talks what devotees do. Ananya cheta satatam yomam smarati nityashah tasyaham sulabha partha nitya yuktasya yogina. Bhakti yogis, on the other hand, they are constantly absorbed in thoughts of me. Therefore, sulabha partha, asani se, they can attain Krishna. Nitya yuktasya yogina. And then he discusses how the material world is such a miserable place. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmana. Those great souls, after having attained me, do not come back to this material world of birth and death, but attains my abode. Mam upetya, punarjanma. They don't come back in the cycle of birth and death. So several places you find in the Gita and in the Bhagavatam instances and stories of how people leave their bodies, how a devotee is supposed to leave their bodies, how yogis leave their body, and what happens to someone who do not remember Krishna at the time of death. So therefore it is a paradox that such a big episode, the most crucial event in anyone's life, but no one wants to talk about it. There is this English phrase called elephant in the room. Elephant in the room means some uncomfortable truth that is visible everywhere, but no one addresses it. Why? Because it is too painful, or it is too controversial, or too complicated to address. So elephant in the room. Therefore people keep avoiding it. And even if the topic somehow comes in discussion, then we kind of justify it by saying, sabko to marna hi hai na? What's the point in discussing it? Or why are you so pessimistic? There are so many good things in life. Why don't we discuss that? Why are you talking about death and such a horrible, ghastly event, such a painful thing? Whenever it happens, tab dekha jayega. So this is how we avoid the elephant in the room. Because we don't have answers to it, how to address it, how to deal with it. Like in the story of Gajendra, the elephant. So Gajendra was in a very happy, comfortable situation, enjoying the heavenly Trikuta, Parvat and Mandakini Ganga with all his herd. Gajendra was people, the other animals, even the wild animals were afraid of Gajendra. That's how powerful Gajendra was. So then he went inside the water and was having a nice time, and then the crocodile caught him. So that's when he realized to address the matter. All his life, he was enjoying life. But then that moment appeared, where you cannot escape discussing it. No one can escape avoiding it. So in that helpless situation, Gajendra discussed. Gajendra called out for help. He realized his immense strength as the king of elephants was fading, waning, disappearing. His hope was also fading. And then he called out. So we also, in our similar situation, when everything appears to be going very nice, comfortable, some calamity strikes. It could be our personal health crisis or some natural calamity, some socio-political situation, reversal, something changes when we are thinking that everything is going so nice. Therefore Krishna says, Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. We are least prepared for all this eventuality. But then Gajendra's good fortune was he remembered his past life prayers as King Indradyumna and he surrendered. That changed the equation. Most of us, even practicing devotees, may not actually remember whom to call out for at the time of crisis. Like Shukdev Goswami says, no? Asatsu, Dehapatya Galatradishu, Atma Sainyesha Satsvapi. All these fallible soldiers we take shelter of. Dehapatya, body, children, Kalatradishu, relatives, other wealth. Despite knowing that they are all asat, we hang on to those securities, those shelters. Pashyannapi na pashyati. We fail to realize that these are going to fail. So therefore, Gajendra was fortunate that although he didn't have a clear idea whom to call out, he called out. Arupayo rurupaya nama ascharya karmane. I don't know what your form is, whoever you are. Please save me from this helpless situation. So therefore, in the Gita, Krishna says one should meditate on this fact. Meditate on this fact of departure of the body. Prayana kale manasa chalena bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva. So what we don't realize is the body is like a ticking time bomb. Every moment is like tick, 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 going closer and closer to explosion, to death. But that thing that is a bomb, which is going to explode, that doesn't register in our mind. So if you ask a young person, a youth, to take up spiritual life, they will say, I'm too young. If you ask an old man, take up spiritual life, I am too old. You ask anyone in between, what will they say? I am too busy. Someday, we will think about it. Not enough time. This is not the time to discuss about such matters. And that someday never comes. And we keep on delaying it. Like we hear the story of Kailash and Narada Muni. He kept on delaying it. He became a dog, he became a snake. So in this way, our S.B. Keshav Maharaj makes a nice statement. The pain of discipline is uncomfortable, but the pain of regret is unbearable. Pain of discipline is uncomfortable. Pain of regret is unbearable. So if we don't discipline ourselves to proper principles, spiritual principles, then one day we'll have to regret. But then it becomes too late to change course. And spiritual success is not a one-time episode. One day, a day will come, a moment will come when we have to turn on the switch, and that's success. In some rare cases, it may happen. Like all these scientists, when they discover certain things, like we hear this Archimedes, he had this eureka moment. Right? He did so many experiments, and one fine day, suddenly he realized, oh, this is the solution to the problem. The volume of water displaced is equal to the volume of mass entering into the liquid. Or who was that, Edison? He did thousands of experiments. One fine day, suddenly he realized, oh, this is the solution. Similarly, spiritual life may not be like that for most people, except for some people maybe. Krishna says, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Gyanavan. One day Jnani may realize suddenly, oh, all this effort for over so many lifetimes, this Krishna is the main thing. Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Samahatma Sudurlabha. But for majority of people, it happens in installments. Every day we practice our sadhana, we practice the principles, 4 regulative principles, 64 limbs of devotion service. And gradually, little by little, drop by drop, we realize the realities of this life, the miserable nature of the material world, the eternal nature of the spiritual world, the fundamental truths of Krishna, the Jiva, Ishvara Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma, all these principles, it dawns upon us gradually in installments. We may not be able to measure the installment, but over a period of 20, 30, 40, 50 years, those installments keep adding. And then we call such a person a realized soul, an enlightened being. But it happened, it took years and decades to reach that stage. So therefore, every day is important. Every sadhana we do, every principle we follow. We can't take the risk of waiting that one day that switch will turn on, suddenly I'll get a big installment of realization. If you are fortunate, it may happen, but we can't take that risk. So therefore, every day, the morning program, the japa, quality japa, and the Bhagavatam classes and our services, these things are adding to our account, spiritual account. And one day, it will be big enough for giving us all the deeper realizations. So he writes that there are certain enemies of growth. Enemies of growth, what are they? These enemies make our spiritual life average and mediocre. Certain things. What are those? When we are too busy, too arrogant, and too comfortable in our life, then our spiritual life is likely to become average. Like the Bhagavatam says, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. Our bhakti may not be Tivra if we are too busy that we don't have time to introspect. So time is important, how we utilize our valuable time. Otherwise, like in today's times when we are too busy with social media and other things, distractions, we may give too much importance to certain urgent but unimportant things. So many small things keep coming, and we feel, okay, khatam kar deta hu, ye khatam kar dalta hu. And this way time goes by, and at the end of the day we find, I didn't get time to read the Bhagavatam, or I didn't get time to meditate on some, maybe Vaishnava bhajan, some important things. I didn't get time enough to spend time with some devotee, some essential service, because we were too caught up with urgent and unimportant things. And then we postponed it next day. So therefore, we don't get enough time to reflect and introspect upon some essential truths. Our Rajivihari Prabhu often tells that one should write, one should journaling. So journaling means you are meditating on certain things. When you start writing, you get to know some things that we already know becomes more clear, and we get more clarity when we meditate and introspect on things we have heard, things we have read. Because we are too busy, we miss that. And then if you are too arrogant to admit that I am not complete and perfect, and I need to seek help, take help, and correct my mistakes. So Rectifications and feedbacks may come from many sources, unexpected sources. But if our attitude is not right, then we may miss those things and we may miss the rectifications and corrective steps we could have taken. And therefore our spiritual life remains average. And the last thing is the courage. This is also a very difficult thing. Courage to take up certain steps that will push us out of the comfort zone. So usually there's a tussle between stability and aspirations. Stability means I want to be comfortable. My accommodation, my food, shelter, clothing. We need a certain level of stability and security. At the same time, we want to experience adventure and excitement, which demands stepping out of the comfort zone and security zone. Like we hear in the case of so many Prabhupada disciples in the early days, how they thought the movement is limited to 26nd Avenue, Lower East Side of New York City. And suddenly Prabhupada said, go to San Francisco, open a center. Go to Canada, go to Mexico. Single devotee sent. And one day he called 3 couples and said, you have to go to London. London is a foreign country for them. So they went. And for one and a half years, they had to struggle. So, stepping out of the comfort zone, Prabhupada used to send devotees. Even in other religious traditions, we find how they had to go through struggles for spreading that faith. Because we are, as B. Keshav Maharaj writes, how we do not want to take that risk of going out of the comfort zone. Therefore, our spiritual life may become stagnant and average, unless Krishna pushes out. So Gajendra, we saw the story of Gajendra. He was in his comfort zone, and suddenly the crocodile grabbed him. And he had to take serious steps to come out of it. For in our life, crocodile may come in different forms, but this crocodile of Gajendra represents that thing, certain unexpected incidents, episodes in life that will force us to take shelter of Krishna. Therefore, we have to practice remembering Krishna so that, like Gajendra, he could remember because he had practiced in his earlier life. Those prayers came to his help, and therefore he could call out to Krishna. So in this way, Brahmaji also, he is in a difficult situation. He is alone in the universe. Imagine one person alone in the universe. And everywhere darkness. Finally, he got to see the darshan of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. And therefore, he is offering prayers. But before darshan, he had to go through a big struggle. 1,000 celestial years, he had to remain alone. Not having a clue of what to do with this raw elements surrounding him. How to create, what to design, nothing available. So therefore, death is the, as he says here, death remains the ultimate meditation. And meditating on death is not a sign of failure and helplessness. Death can give us, meditating on death will make us realize what are the big things in life and what are the small things in life. Where to give priority? What should be prioritized? And what are unimportant things? It can make us humble also. Because we see everything losing, going away. And death is also an opportunity. Death strips us of everything that is not us. Whatever is not us is everything stripped away. And whatever remains is actually we, the original. If we can meditate on these principles, then death becomes an opportunity. Like Dhruva Maharaj, he like stepping over death, the head of death personified, and entering into the Vaikuntha airplane. So Prabhupada writes there, how for a devotee, death is welcome, not something that we have to dread like ordinary materialists. So in this way, Brahmaji is encouraging us that if we take shelter of the holy names, then one can attain that abode of Krishna. His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj has written a nice book, Life's Final Exam, where he has compiled stories of various devotees in hospice, Bhaktivedanta hospice, and many other places, how devotees in their last moments became Krishna conscious and attained a very auspicious end. So one article that initially appeared in BTG, which was later published in this book, is the story of His Holiness Keshav Bharati Maharaj, Prabhupada disciple. He was a part of Radha Damodar Sankirtan party. When the buses started increasing and Tamal Krishna Maharaj and all, they were organizing buses and they were crisscrossing all over America. They wanted one central office from where all these movements of buses could be monitored, scores can be recorded, and devotees can be encouraged whenever they feel alone. And so they wanted an office. And in this office, he appointed one devotee. He was Keshav Bharati. At that time, he was Prabhu, Brahmachari. Later, he took sannyas. So Keshav Bharati writes his story. Keshav Bharati Maharaj narrates his story about his mother. So how he was born in one city in America, but then due to some social condition, they had to move to another state in California, another city in California. So there he was raised, he was a single child of his parents, but then the parents had to undergo a lot of struggle, social, economic setbacks. There was a Great Depression in America in 1929, I believe, 1929-30. A recession, and then the family had to go through. So he was the only child, and then he was admitted in school, and then he was performing nice. He got some awards and he stood first in some category. So parents are very happy. Our single child is performing well. Although we had to struggle, the child appears to be very promising. And then somehow, Keshav Bharati Prabhu, he felt all this material life is empty. Everything is false. So he requested his parents, let me go to San Francisco, somewhere north, and let me try music and other things. So he went there, did some course on music, and again he felt, maybe it's all same illusion. People running after money and women and intoxication, same old things. Hollywood was there. And somehow he met devotees, met Prabhupada and became a devotee. And when his parents got to know, they were really angry at him. Especially his mother was very angry. And they disowned him. You are not our child anymore. Because you have left our religion. You are following the path of Satan. So anyway, he couldn't, he was rejected by his family. And then he joined Prabhupada's movement, joined the temple as a brahmachari. And in this way, he started serving in the mission. Later, he went to India after Prabhupada's departure in 1977. He came to India, came to Bombay. He took up serious responsibilities in Juhu, in the development of the Juhu project. So meanwhile, his parents stopped all connection, especially his mother. Although he would write letters once in a while to maintain connection, but the response from that side was nothing. But he still maintained the connection. Frequently he would write letters. And One day he got to know that his father is ill. Someone friend told him that your father is ill, but his mother never told him. So then he went there. He went there 2 days before his father passed away. He was there. And father appreciated whatever he was doing. Said, I heard you have a big shot. His father said. It's all kind of appreciating. So he tried to explain to him and father said, okay, it's good. But his mother was very much against. But she was surprised that father was appreciating. So therefore, there was slight change in heart. And then his father passed away in 2 days. And then he came back again to Bombay and India. Again, he would keep writing letters. One time, for some reason, he had to get some papers and documents. His mother came, drove several kilometers and gave the documents. So he thought, maybe my mother is changing. But even in that small interaction, for a few minutes, that interaction became very bitter and unpleasant. Again, his mother said, oh, come on, you have given up everything and religion, our religion, you have taken up some other thing. So then that interaction ended. So in this way, again, he came back to India and then he maintained the connection, but his mother would never respond. Finally, after several years, 1995, 96, that period, for 10, 15 years, he saw his mother only once or twice, although he wanted to meet. Then the final main event came. One day his friend called from America saying, your mother is sick, seriously sick. She was lying on her bed and she was unconscious, bleeding. So he thought he will go and meet. So within 10 days, he booked a ticket and he went there. And his mother was in a state of denial. I'm okay, everything is okay. I don't need any help. But anyway, he decided to stay there for some time until she came back from the hospital. And he was doing cooking, cleaning, maintaining the house, paying back credit card bills and electricity bills, everything he had to do because there were complaints coming, you are not paying the bill. The mother had forgotten everything. So he kind of set up everything, restored everything. After 10 days, she appeared to be normal and then he said, no, you go back. I can manage alone. So again he came back. And then kept maintaining connection. So now she had become a little more favorable because she saw how the son is helping me. And he had established some contacts, kept some housemaid, and they were taking care. And he was getting reports regularly. After 1.5 years, again, she went through a health crisis. And this time, the doctors revealed that it was cancer. So again, he went back, and here he had major responsibilities. He was, I think, a part of Mayapur, education and teaching and several other projects. But then he had to leave everything. He discussed with his authorities and left everything and went back, saying, no, this is a crucial time. Although she disowned me, but at least as a son, it is my sacred duty to be with her at these final days. So he went back. He was very close with Shivaram Maharaj and Tamal Krishna Maharaj. So they also kind of advised him, you go back. So he went there. In those last few days, he could see the actual transformation. So his mother was bedridden and he started reading Krishna book. So initially she thought, what are you reading? Is it a fairy tale? What stories you are reading? So he explained, this Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his activities. Kept on reading for several hours. One day, her eyes was wide open in excitement. What are you reading? Such a nice story. And he said, do you want me to go back? Page 1. Yeah, please. I have a lot of questions. Went back to page 1. I started reading the whole Krishna book again. And he started explaining. Meanwhile, in the neighborhood, because Saffron Sadhu is here, it created a sensation. They started coming and they saw the atmosphere in the house so spiritual and devotional. They started attending, he had a regular satsang program, weekly satsang program at house, all Westerners, typical Christian background. And they started attending and his mother saw, my son is doing such nice preaching and discussing philosophy. So several days passed and gradually her condition became worse. That's when he felt my mother should get initiated. So he discussed with Shivaram Maharaj, and Shivaram Maharaj suggested, yes, he's agreed. Yes, we can initiate her if she is open to the idea. And he wrote a nice personal letter. Shivaram Maharaj wrote a nice letter and he read it out to his mother, Keshav Prabhu. And she felt, yes, I want to take initiation. I am ready. I want to hear Prabhupada's voice, lectures and kirtans. So in those final moments, until the last 10-15 days, until he was there, she was actually totally Krishna conscious, constantly listening to Prabhupada's kirtan, reading Krishna book, hearing Krishna book. And Shivaram Maharaj gave her a spiritual name, initiated her. So Keshav Bharati Maharaj explains how, although a person was totally against whatever he was doing, against Krishna consciousness, nothing to do with the Hare Krishnas, but by the arrangement of devotees, by Krishna's arrangement, Prabhupada's arrangement, everything became so favorable at the last moment. And hopefully she attained a higher, superior destination. And then they had a memorial function where everyone was happy, looking at the whole situation, the transformation that happened. Everyone spoke about her. So in this way, if we can practice our principles nicely, seriously, like Maharaj says, Radhanath Maharaj says, without any ulterior motives, sincerely, seriously, and without any ulterior motives, then we also can attain a higher destination, as Brahmaji says here. Simply by chanting the names of Krishna, one can attain a higher destination. So I'll stop here and we'll continue tomorrow discussion. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.